All right. Another exciting episode of the JoshCast, brought to you by death. It's coming for all of us. That's morbid. Oh man, my back hurts, and I just want to eat sugar. But if I eat sugar, I'll get sick. And I'm tired, and I want to sleep all day and watch Star Trek Deep Space Nine. But at the same time, I don't feel productive. And if I don't feel productive, then I feel like I'm a failure. But if I am productive and I get things done, I still feel like a failure because financially speaking, it's not really going anywhere. So in other words, this is the high point of my day emotionally. I'm starting at, it's only going to be downhill from here, basically, is what I'm saying. Essentially, that's where we're at. That's the nature of the beast. That is the nature of the beast. Frankenstein, the beast. Actually, it was the monster. Frankenstein, the monster. The monster, Frankenstein. Who created a monster made out of a bunch of different parts from a bunch of different people. And the monster was walking around with different pieces of different people attached to him. Misunderstood and angry. Which makes sense. That's how that story should go. It wouldn't make sense if he put together, if he created a creature made out of several different people, and the creature turned out to be actually quite emotionally stable. You are Frankenstein's monster? Well, I mean, you can call me a monster if you want. I'm Tim. Tim Jackson, nice to meet you. How can you live with yourself knowing that you are an abomination? Well, I mean, I'd like to think I have a more enlightened attitude than that. Because really, essentially, what is normal and what is not normal? I've been pieced together with a bunch of different body parts from a bunch of different people. Sometimes it can feel a little schizophrenic, but, by and large, I'm making it work. I'm dating someone named Linda. She's a florist. And I'm, working a part-time job as an accounting assistant. And I'm taking up brushwork, watercolors specifically. So, it's all fine. And what of your creator, Dr. Frankenstein? When he speaks of you, he trembles in fear. Well, I mean, that's his thing. I try to have a relationship with him. I try to talk to him every now and then, but he, I don't know, he's concerned that I'm running around killing people, but that's really not the case. I'm not into murder. That's really not my thing. And, I've come to terms with who I am, and I hope that he finds peace with it. Yeah, you couldn't make that novel wouldn't work. It wouldn't, it's not as exciting. By chapter 16, where Frankenstein's monster is, having a coffee at the local barista's place, which I think the technical term for that is a coffee shop, I think people would lose interest. Oh, I'm looking at a sign on the bus in front of me. Can a podcast surface ideas hidden all around us? Sincerely, Luminary. I guess that's kind of what I'm trying to do right now. Trying to just look at the things around me and make that inspire me. I don't know why I'm speaking in that voice. Why am I speaking in that voice? Why am I speaking in a voice? Because I feel the need to entertain you. And I feel like if this podcast is not entertaining, if I'm not putting on a show, you will not be interested in what I have to say. But by the same token, the goal with this podcast is for me to be funny. So if I am not putting energy into being funny, how can I possibly be funny? So then I ask the question, what if I drop all the pretense and just talk? Will the humor naturally come forward if I just talk about how I'm actually feeling? And I'm noticing as I'm driving, I'm seeing two Hondas both pass me. Newer Honda Civics. I think the first one's a Civic and the second one is a Civic SI. With a spoiler. A sporty Honda. I think, the sporty Honda, I think that's me at my best. If I really, if I exercised, if I ate right, if I developed a positive attitude, I would be sporty Honda, but still a Honda. And that's my complaint, I guess. Underneath it all, I'm a Honda through and through. And so why bother trying to be sporty? I would just like to be a regular old Honda. That's my only request. That is way not my only request. I have many requests. I want to be rich. I want to be respected. Why else would I be doing a podcast? But that's the problem. I'm doing a podcast with an ulterior motive. Instead of doing the podcast for the sake of doing the podcast. Doing the podcast for its own reward. That's what I should be doing. That's the correct Zen attitude to have. The incorrect attitude is that I'm doing this podcast in the hopes that someone will discover me and give me a ton of money. That's the incorrect attitude. So the question is, do I embrace the incorrect attitude because it's the truth, or do I fake having an enlightened attitude and operate under the proviso, fake it until you make it? And my indecision between those two, it kind of reminds me of Hamlet, but a much sadder version of Hamlet. I might be looking at someone peeing on a wall. I'm not sure. I drove past too quickly. But it certainly got me out of my conundrum. Using a lot of big words, trying to prove that I'm worth it. That's what that means there. About to make a right turn. Although, would you know if I'd made a left turn or a right turn? Why did I apologize? I apologize to you for incorrectly saying the kind of turn that I was going to make. Even though this is an audio podcast, and no one would ever know the difference. But I would know the difference. So I feel the need to apologize. Is it because I and I alone would know the difference, or is it because I'm afraid some higher power would know the difference, or the universe would know the difference? But the fact of me lying to you about it, I feel a sense of guilt. Where is that guilt coming from? Is it learned guilt? Is it something that was taught to me, something that I've picked up, or is it a guilt? Oh, I just saw an ad for the new Dark Phoenix movie. That just totally threw me off my game. I don't know about that one. I'm trying to have an open mind about that one. We'll see. I've just lost interest in superhero movies. I really have. It's a shame. I love superhero movies, and yet I've totally lost interest in them. And I've lost it. I'm tired of it. You get your power, you lose your power. With great power comes responsibility. With great power comes great responsibility. The same thing over and over again, and then now we're getting these second, third, fourth generation superhero movies that aren't even superhero movies. It's really a Western, but a superhero movie. And it's going to keep going and going until I think the next step is it's going to be a Kevin Smith movie. It's Clerks, but all the characters are actual superheroes, but we never see them use their superhero powers, and they're just talking the whole movie. Which actually sounds pretty cool, now that I say it. But pretty soon, they're all going to be superhero movies. They're all going to be superhero movies. Every movie will be a superhero movie. That's where we're headed. That is exactly where... It doesn't matter the genre. Could be a romantic comedy with Richard Gere, another Knights in Rodanthe, only he's playing Batman who's falling in love with Catwoman. The same style, romantic comedy, but it's still somebody in the movie is a superhero. That's where we're headed. And I could be at peace with that. Maybe what it is I'm losing interest in all movies in general. And I'm trying to look for something authentic, an authentic experience. That's what I'm looking for. An authentic experience. And yet, what does that mean? Does that mean that I have to go somewhere, go on a trip, go on a vacation? Or does it really mean, what it really means is I want an authentic experience with another human being? A post-coital situation where we're lying in bed together just laughing about things. About to have toast. And yes, it could be avocado toast. Or not. I don't personally have a preference. I will leave it to the fictional woman that I'm with. Is that what I'm saying? That I'm finally ready to stop obsessing over science fiction and any other kind of movie and any other kind of genre and actually have a real-life relationship with someone? Have I finally arrived at that point? Have I finally arrived at that point? I ask you. Well, since Skeletor's been dating, it hasn't been the same here at Snake Mountain. It just has not been the same. I mean, for one thing, he's a lot happier. I'm glad we finally met. And I'm glad we finally had this moment, Linda. Well, I'm glad we had it too, Skeletor. Just things weren't going anywhere with Tim. I am not surprised. Tim had the potential to be an actual monster, but instead he squandered it, working as an accountant's assistant. No wonder you're bored. You want true action and adventure, and I can give it to you, and together we will destroy He-Man once and for all. Honey, I thought we agreed that the He-Man thing was your thing, but it's really not our thing. But it could be our thing. Don't you want to destroy that sanctimonious fool? I've never met him. And like I've told you before, honey, it's not that hard. You just have to poison Prince Adam when he's sleeping. I refuse to believe that Prince Adam is He-Man. They look exactly alike, honey. I'm concerned that you can't see it. I can't see anything! I don't have eyeballs! I didn't mean to bring that up. I'm sorry I brought that up. Don't know where I'm heading with this. Don't know what this is. I don't even know if I should post this particular episode. But I'm going to post this episode specifically because I don't feel like I should post this episode. And that's the part of it. I want to post everything. I consider this episode to be a total failure. And that is exactly why I'm posting it. Because I don't want to lie to you and tell you that I'm only perfect 100% of the time. No. You must know for a fact I don't feel good about 90% of what I do. And I'm going to say that I stand by that.